Good morning, good morning, good morning. This is a happy new day. Why? Because it's day 86 of me and 7 family members surviving COVID-19. To God be the glory. As a result of surviving COVID-19, I am presenting to you from the Free to Hope on how to apply the 12 steps to COVID-19, one day at a time. As a result of the Alcoholics Anonymous Fellowship, who created the 12 steps that are spiritual in nature, we learn how to practice these principles in all our affairs and to apply them to all living experiences here on this earth. And so I do not represent Alcoholics Anonymous, but have been a proud and humble member. As of February 23rd of 21, we celebrated 31 years. To God be the glory, right? And so we know that this is a happy new day. Even with this COVID-19 that started back in February of 2020, now we're in a new year, in a new month, and a new day. But for people in recovery who have applied these 12 spiritual principles, we know that every day is a holiday. Every day can be a happy day if we apply the 12 spiritual principles. And so when we do that and apply them to this COVID-19, such as I and my family members, it is a great day. And we want to share this experience, strength, hope, wisdom with you. But first, we have to give acknowledgement to the Creator who woke us up this morning, who breathed life into us this morning. Those who are living are breathing, even if they're not breathing on their own. But the fact that they still have breath in their life is due to the Creator. He woke us up this morning to rejoice and be glad in this happy new day. And you may say, how? This is going on. This is going on. Well, that's the reason for learning, embracing, practicing these 12 spiritual principles so that we can learn to apply all the living conditions, physical conditions, but from a spiritual angle. So join me as I give 30 seconds in a moment of silence, not only to our Creator, but to the entire human race who is simultaneously going through this COVID-19 pandemic. Those who have transitioned, those who are left behind, those who are on their dying bed this second, those who are suffering through the symptoms of COVID-19, those who have recovered from COVID-19, those who are doing the next right thing regarding COVID-19, those who are intervening on behalf of those with COVID-19, in essence, the entire human race. We want to give a moment of silence just for 30 seconds. Join me. Thank you, thank you, and thank you. So when we are in a 12-step meeting, be it Alcoholics Anonymous, Narcotics Anonymous, Gamblers Anonymous, Al-Anon Anonymous, Alateen Anonymous, Overeaters Anonymous, they all use the same spiritual principles to address that specific area. And now we are learning how to apply it to COVID-19. In spite of what's going on, we can, we will, and we must stop its perpetuation and decrease the severity of the symptoms and the effects, impact, outcomes, and fatalities of COVID-19. We can, because we are all in this together. All right. So we also know in the 12-step program that some of us must die in order for some of us to live. And they say that some of us are just constitutionally incapable of being honest with themselves. They are such unfortunates. They are not at fault. They seem to have been born that way. So we know that if you are living and you can hear me, but the goal is to listen and then apply what you have heard regarding the CDC suggestions of washing your hands, wearing a mask, social distancing, contact tracing, right? Getting tested and getting vaccinated. And so I'm going to show you my video of me getting vaccinated, okay? So I want to first say this is day 86 of my recovery in and from COVID-19, but I've been on this platform since April the 1st of 2020 as a result of an article by Dr. Scott T. Allison in Psychology Today, who wrote about how we as a human race can benefit from the wisdom of the 12 steps. Then I extracted Jason Waller's breakdown of the 12 steps, which you will see, and giving credit to where credit is due. In the meantime, I do want to acknowledge my sponsors. I have some new sponsors, and I want to share them with you. And if you want to be one of my sponsors, you can follow suit as well. All right, so let's go here. And let's go here, and let's go here, and then let's go here. See? See how this thing works? Okay, so my sponsors are MDB Associates, right? And that is Dr. Mary Douglas Bailey. And we also have Patchwork Human Services, LLC, with Ebony Madry, Levante N. Dorsey and Associates, LLC, Academy of Peace, my friend, Dr. J. Macklin, Crafty Crab Seafood Restaurant. I have my anniversary gathering there. Free to Hope, LLC, Women Do Haul Transportation Services, Mr. C's Barbershop, Morgan's of Delaware. Some of my attire I wear is from her. And then Lady T, my African attire, is also within the walls of Morgan's of Delaware. My jewelry at times are created by Catherine Butler. And my last sponsor so far is Divine Light Recovery Center and Supportive Housing. These are my sponsors. And given, again, credit to where credit needs to be given, I mentioned to you Dr. Scott T. Allison, right? And his article in Psychology Today. So please go to that edition and read the 7 points that he goes into detail about. And also Jason Waller breaking down the 12 steps of Alcoholics Anonymous. And this is what we use and replace alcohol with COVID-19. All right, so let me go one more step and show you the information posed by Dr. Scott T. Allison, where he says letting go of control, patience, keeping the focus on oneself, trust, living in the present, social connections, and services to others. What are the 12 steps? You know, I believe in repetition, and that has been the goal of all 12-step programs. And so the 12 steps applied to COVID-19 include: we admitted we were powerless over COVID-19, that our lives had become unmanageable. 2, came to believe that a power greater than ourselves could restore us to sanity. 3, made a decision to turn our will and our lives over to the care of God as we understood him. 4, made a searching and fearless moral inventory of ourselves. 5, admitted to God, to ourselves, to another human being, the exact nature of our wrongs. 6, were entirely ready to have God remove all these defects of character. 7, humbly asked him to remove our shortcomings. 8, made a list of all persons we had harmed and became willing to make amends to them all. 9, made direct amends to such people wherever possible, except when to do so would injure them or others, even you. 10, continued to take personal inventory, and when we were wrong, promptly admitted it. 11, sought through prayer and meditation to improve our conscious contact with God as we understood him, praying only for the knowledge of his will for us and the power to carry it out. And 12, having had a spiritual awakening as a result of these steps, we try to carry this message to others regarding COVID-19 and to practice these principles in all our affairs. Okay. Now, I need to tell y'all that with all this information that I had over the years, I did not apply them to COVID-19. I was defiant. I was rebellious. I was resistant. I had an attitude of being invincible, similar to me becoming a drug addict, alcoholic, and prostitute. It won't happen to me. I won't do those things, right? Even though I had the information, the Creator lets me know you still have a lot of work to do. No matter how much time you got, you still fall short in a lot of your defects because I have yet removed them. And when I do, you will be prepared to carry on the steps I have ordered for you. And so maybe you have been like me, or like me, being somewhat taking this COVID-19 for granted. But if you're listening to me, if you talk to people who have lost loved ones to COVID-19, if you talk to those who are suffering through COVID-19, those who have been restored from COVID-19, those who are intervening on behalf of people who have COVID-19, listen to their experience, their strength, their hope, and hopefully their wisdom. A lot of us will say that we had the if I coulda, woulda syndrome, right? I should have did this, I could have did that, but guess what? It is not too late for you to be a part of the solution and not a part of the problem, all right? So what I want to do now, this is March the 1st, and I completed 31 years on February the 23rd of 2021. However, being this is March the 1st, and what they have assigned as celebrating women, there is one woman I want to celebrate, and that's my mom. Yeah, that my mommy, that my boo-boo, that my mommy. And my mother, for the next few days, I'm going to have a corner to talk about my mother. For me, the greatest woman who ever walked this earth, right? And so my mom was the parent of 6 children. She started having them at 15 and stopped at 22, right? And the last 4 of us were 10 months apart. And here you see a picture of my mom, my sisters and brothers, and my dad at the top in the middle. But when I talk about my mother, I celebrate her every day that I sit before you because I had a praying mother. She had 4 of her 6 children addicted at the same time, and we nearly could have caused her death. But because she knew her God, her Savior, you know, she knew the Spirit and all that, she kept praying, she kept praying, she kept praying. She never stopped praying for her children, especially this one, because out of the 4, they say I was the worst one. But look how her prayers have been answered. Her prayers have been answered, which is one of the reasons why I sit before you today. And so giving homage to my mother, Helen Jones Lamar Hall Taylor, during this month of March, which is also the month of her birthday on March the 23rd. Again, I just want to pay homage to her just for a few minutes, even though I could share the whole day, the whole night, the whole year about my mother. And for those who have lost their mothers to COVID-19 or any other illness, my heart goes out to you. And I want to say a special prayer for the family of Tonda Madry. She just lost her mother, and she is the grandmother of one of my grandchildren, Bryce the White Dockery, and her mother, his mother, Ebony Madry, who is one of my newest sponsors, Patchwork Human Services, providing therapy and counseling for those who suffer from any and all things, okay? But it is a mother's prayer. It is a mother's prayer. And with a mother's prayer, it never ceases, it never stops. It's always continuous because she knows that God selected her to bring forth the children she had bared Most of the time, my mom would say, "Those are my children. Those are my children." Those are mine, And my dad reminded her too at times when they got into an argument. You told me they were your children, right? So deal with your children, right? But I just want to pay homage to my mother, and I will be sharing some pictures with you. This is when we had a gathering at my house here. I think it was last year that this is the result of my mother and her offsprings, right? She transitioned on May the 6th of 2016, and I was blessed to take care of my mother before she died, along with six other family members on hospice and 3 at one time. And so to God be the glory for my mother, Helen Jones Lamar Hall Taylor. To God be the glory. Let's take a drink on behalf of the moms and the women who will be celebrated during the month of March. Let's take a drink, a coffee. I can breathe. I can smell. I can taste. I can hear. But the goal is for you all to listen. All right. So let's get back to our regular recovery conversation. And I want to, again, share with you how on day 2 of having COVID-19, so that would be December the 4th of 2020, when I sat before you, not looking like this, and you will see what COVID-19 looked like on me and possibly you, should you contract it, and why going through this process, I needed to continue to be transparent, as I have been from day 1 of April the 1st of 2020, and inspired by the Spirit to jump on this Facebook as a result of Dr. Scott T. Allison's article, that we can benefit from the wisdom of the 12-step program. And the 12 steps have helped me to totally be transparent and practice the other character defects that I still have. And thank God for these steps, because they're there, in the steps lie solutions. Okay. So I shared with you day 1 a few days ago. Yesterday, I shared with you part 1 of day 2. Now I want to show you the remaining videos coverage of day 2 of having COVID-19. Okay, so listen, pay attention to some words, because I'm going to ask you some questions to see, did you hear what I was conveying? Okay, so this is day 2, part 2 of me with COVID-19. Back in December. All right. So here we go.
Oh, this is some real stuff. Okay. So I think I'm going to let him fix breakfast for the 3 of them, and I'll be okay. All right. So that's that. Now, how did I get here? All right. So. All right, Mom. My head hurt. I can't. Let me see. I can put you on my shoulder, Mom. How about that? Okay. So can me and my mom have a conversation with y'all? This is my mommy here. This was her favorite hat. Okay. So, all right. Whew. Lord, I love you. That's all I can say. All right. Let me take another sip of coffee, and Y'all may be saying that, Weena, listen, you just stay off for 2 weeks, and because look, don't do that to me, y'all. Y'all just have patience with me, and y'all share this journey with me, and we're going to get through it, okay? All right. But this is transparency at its best, okay? All right. So let me share what happened. What happened, what it's like now, and it's like before, during, and after. All right. So, you ready? Okay. So, let's see. It's ironic that on April the 1st, not ironic, it's a beautiful thing to reflect back because on April the 1st, I started the Free to Hope uh, televised Facebook Live series. And the reason why I did, because of COVID-19, I had to stop touring of the Free to Hope World Tour back in February on my 30th anniversary. And so I prayed and I asked God and I said, okay, well, we got to stop the tour. But the Spirit said, yeah, we can stop the tour, but you ain't got to stop talking. I said, okay. And so not knowing how God was going to work it out, but he did. Because my friend Stephanie J from my 12-step home group meeting sent me an article on March the 31st from Dr. Allison. I used to know his name, but right now I don't know the whole name. James T. Allison, I don't know, but I know it's Miss Dr. Allison. And the article was from Psychology Today, and the caption was 30 days using the wisdom of a 12-step program. And he was talking about the COVID-19 initial 30-day isolation, lockdown. But the emphasis was on using the wisdom from the 12-step program on how to accept, deal, and utilize that wisdom from the 12-step program in order to get through it all, okay? And so I had no idea that God was doing this thing, because that was March the 31st. And I read it and I said, oh, wow. And then it was like the Spirit said, okay, here go the seed. Let me water it, okay? Start thinking. You have Facebook Live. You have a room. You have a chair. You have the information that you're going to share. And so you can start tomorrow morning, April the 1st at 6 o'clock. Ooh, I was like, yeah. And the day is the 31st? See, I can't get real excited, right? And yeah. And I was like, okay. And so April the 1st, in this very room, I set up my little chair. I had my computer. I came up with the title, morning conversation type of thing. And bam, I hit go live. And now it's December the 4th. Isn't that something? So it's amazing how through the COVID-19 pandemic and all that stuff was initiated by an article helping people to learn from the wisdom of the 12-step program. What better person but me to share, like millions of others, and about my experience, strength, and hope, and wisdom on how the 12 steps have helped me over the past 30 plus years. Okay. And so as I was and continue day by day, and it was only supposed to have been 30 days, but Dr. J. Macklin and my friend Sandy Anderson, they were the two that said, no, 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 no. You asking if God wants you to continue, we letting you know God wants you to continue. And so, lo and behold, I've been doing it. And aside from this interruption, I would have been close to, I don't know, 100 and, I don't know. But I stopped before this first COVID-19 affected my family on day 160. Okay. All right. So what happened after that? All right. So now y'all know that I have the morning conversation, and then we developed my head hurts. The evening conversation. I call it the evening check-in, right? And so when I started that, people said, well, I missed you in the morning, but I caught you at night. And I said, okay, well, let me do an evening check-in. So this way, what we shared in the morning regarding the 12 steps, we went through the whole process and all that kind of stuff, that I can do an evening check-in just to see how everybody's day went. And so I started doing the evening check-in. And so, come here, mommy. And so that went well. And it started out as a half hour, but people were just so engaged in learning about the 12 recovery principles and how I use them in my life, and that they wanted more. So I went from a half hour to an hour in the evening, and then someone suggested, well, people can't make AA meetings or other 12-step meetings, and you can, through your Free to Hope group, host a mock version of what an AA open meeting is like. All right. So we started, and that has been successful as well. Okay. So it's amazing how the COVID-19 pandemic and all that kind of stuff may have a lot of challenges, but it also has provided a host of opportunities, okay, such as the birth of this, okay? So as time went on, and we would hear, and I would share about the statistics and everything that's going on, and how we can utilize the wisdom for the 12-step program to deal with any and all things simultaneously as people are dealing with this COVID-19 thing. And I was getting information, sharing it with you, vice versa. And so it is, right? And so it was. Okay. Whew. Let me take another sip of coffee so I can tell you what time is it. How I got here, the remaining time, okay? Okay. Now, when I would share in the morning, I let y'all know that at 7 o'clock, I would have to stop because I generally attend my 12-step meeting from 7:30 to 8:30 every morning for the past 30 years, right? One way, shape, form, or fashion. And so when the guidelines or the directions for agencies and all of that to abide by, I checked with the 1212 Corporation, where we host our AA meeting, to find out what their rules and regulations were. And after talking to the director, it was determined that we can continue to have our meetings, but we would have to practice social distancing. We would have to use the hand sanitizer, and we all had to wear a mask. And because a lot of people had to abruptly stop attending meetings in a physical sense, and we had to go through that challenge of having meetings by virtual conference calls, FaceTime, whatever, okay? And it was a shock to some people not being able to go to their meetings, okay? But at the same time, we realized in recovery that we have to use some common sense like everybody else too, right? But it was challenging, particularly for those individuals in recovery, not to attend meetings to get that camaraderie that's so essential in our fellowship, that we need to be around our people. And having to stop doing that, caught some people off guard, and I would imagine some people couldn't hang, and I would imagine some people picked up behind it. But it was, I believe, my goal to, again, present to you all any and everything that we could use to compensate for a meeting. So I was, and a few others, were able to continue going to our meetings. And in the beginning, it was maybe 4 or 5 of us. And then, because it was an open AA meeting, I even began to share Facebook Live that meeting, some of those meetings. And but it was determined by members of the group that some of them didn't feel comfortable with us doing that. Okay. So nonetheless, I will leave y'all in the morning, get ready, and go to my meetings. Okay. I gotta pause for a minute. My body said you're talking too much, too soon, too fast. You just need to chill for it. So why don't y'all take a cup of coffee? Drink a cup of coffee, right? Okay. So I stayed connected, made my meetings, doing this and doing my evening meetings, and still helping us stay connected. And also inviting others to learn more about the 12-step program and how you all can benefit from the wisdom derived from Alcoholics Anonymous spiritual program, okay? All right. And fellowship. All right, so now let me get back to tell y'all what happened. Okay. All right. I have a daughter, and she has 3 girls, and they all live together, as well as her dad. And she takes care of her dad, who is now 78. Her oldest daughter is 13. Her middle daughter just turned 8, and her youngest daughter is 2. All right. so they were in the school thing and whatnot, and before this COVID-19 came along, and everybody had their routine and whatnot. And so while they were, uh, doing their regular routine, I wound up being blessed with having two of my nieces and one nephew. So my 8-year-old niece, my 10-year-old niece, and my 14-year-old nephew, grandniece and grandnephew, right? I was blessed to bring them back into my home. And they affectionately calls me grandma. Okay. And they came in a time when I was struggling with relationships, as y'all know, with the parents of my grandchildren. And that through those challenges of me dealing with those issues, I was separated from my grandchildren in one shape, form, and fashion. And I thought that I could handle it, but I realized that my grandchildren were and are a crucial part of my existence. And going through the issues with the parents of my grandchildren, including my children, and including the mothers of the other ones, that in my AA meeting one morning, I had an emotional breakdown regarding that separation and regarding, I thought I was handling it okay, but I don't know. But I had an emotional breakdown in my AA meeting regarding the situation with my grandchildren. And that emotional breakdown, while there, provided a spiritual breakthrough. And I was able to say, get out, cry out, any and everything that I was feeling, and I got it all out. And that's why I love recovery, because when some of us are going through something, we have a place to come and share exactly how we're feeling, get help with getting to the exact nature of why we are feeling, and also acknowledge the part that we played in it and be willing to hold ourselves accountable. And there's no judgment or criticism, and but in releasing all of that and accepting all of that and revealing all of that without causing blame or nothing like that, that provided me with a spiritual breakthrough. And the spiritual breakthrough revealed to me, let go and let God. And pray, and pray, but let go and let God. Because I'm telling y'all, in recovery, as much as I love my grandchildren, as much as I love my grandchildren, as much as I love my grandchildren, I won't even give them the power to make me go back to drinking. No. And so if that meant that I had to let go of them in this, whatever it is or was, and it still is to some degree, and that's okay. I've accepted some things. But I wasn't going to give anything or anybody that much power to make me go back to drinking, not even my grandchildren, as much as I love them. So anyway, God, in his infinite wisdom, said, don't worry about it. I got 3 more kids for you. Excuse me. I got 3 more kids for you. I told you I'm transparent. Listen, y'all can say, yeah, whatever, get over it. And so here comes the 7, at that time 7, still 10, and now 14, great nieces and nephew of mine. And okay, so now, from not having no grandchildren for a little while, God sent me some other children. Yeah. And so now my house is is occupied with three young'ums. Okay. All right. So now, how did I get this? What time is it? Okay. All right. Wait, y'all. Okay. All right. I got 14 minutes to tell y'all what happened. Now I got here. Oh, I did forget to tell y'all that my body aches. Listen, that's when I knew something was wrong too. I'm gonna get back to the story, but every once in a while, my body would ache like a toothache. Like y'all know what a toothache is? Oh my God, my body would ache. And that's when I knew another sign, was about this COVID-19. Okay, all right. So let me get back. All right. So now, how did my family get impacted by COVID-19? Okay.
Okay. Oh, stay tuned for the conclusion tomorrow, part 3. But that's why I know that these 12 spiritual principles, have helped me and millions of others deal with a lot. And no matter what life deals us through these deck of cards, that we learn and embrace and practice these 12 spiritual principles and use the spiritual angle to combat any physical condition. All right. And so demonstrating to you, even though with COVID-19, I still was obedient to the spirit and kept the Free to Hope podcast going, as well as initiating it again once I got COVID-19, because when I took a break, I used reruns, right? And thank God for technology so that I can also reflect back on what I shared and how much I've grown or how much I haven't grown. And even watching that brought tears back to my eyes. And I need to give you an update that our Creator has reunited all my grandchildren with me. There's still some issues that need to be communicated and discussed, but I get to see all my grandchildren. And I always yearn to have all of them together as much as I can. But listen, we've come a long way. And then to embark on 7 of us, a total of 8, 9 contracting COVID-19, immediate family members and extended family members, we were and are reunited. Okay, so let's get back to our recovery conversation, because we're on recovery principle number 7, where it says, humbly ask him to remove our shortcomings. And many of you know we have went through a series, right, 1 through 6. And we are going to give you a quick overview of what we have done since coming to recovery principle number 7. So the overview of steps 1 through 5, I'm going to add 6. 1, we admitted we were powerless over COVID-19, that our lives had become unmanageable, right? And this step needs to be taken 100%, total acceptance without any reservations. Unless I totally accepted my alcoholism, then I could not be in recovery. Until I accept COVID-19, I would not be able to be in recovery, okay? 2, came to believe that a power greater than ourselves could restore us to sanity. That only means soundness of mind. Had I not been restored to sanity, I would not be practicing the CDC suggestions, looking at the tangible evidence, listening to the experience of others, especially in groups, and most importantly, coming to believe that my higher power can restore me to soundness of mind. 3, made a decision to turn our will and our lives over to the care of God as we understood him. If that power or powers greater than us are working for our good and in our best interest, why wouldn't you keep making that decision to turn it over? And as a result of turning it over, we go to the what we call the nitty gritty of the steps. And that's when we talk about those character defects of being defiant, of being resistant, of being stubborn, self-centered, okay? So when we make that searching and fearless more inventory, we want to identify when, where, and how those attitudes, ideas, and behaviors were formulated that created defects in our character, all right? 5, we admitted to God, to ourselves, and to another human being the exact nature of our wrongs. When we select a person who we trust and who will not co-sign our stuff, but help us get to the exact nature of those character defects, it will help us to grow. We need to be as honest and as we possibly can, emptying out that trash can, revealing what has been concealed for so long. And when we do get to the exact nature, we're going to acknowledge, accept what we find, and be willing to face it. So fear, the positive and spiritual acronym for fear, is to face everything and recover. So, and step 6 that I don't have on here, it will say recovery principle number 6 is we're entirely ready to have God remove all these defects of character. And so when we look at steps 4 and 5, we see that the resentment was camouflaged by anger, uncertainty, confusion, frustration, disbelief, and fear, the exact nature of my resentment against COVID-19. Also, my resentment against myself, right? Stupidity, resentment was camouflaged by stupidity. That was camouflaged by defiance, selfishness, self-centeredness, regrets, remorse, fear. No longer do I take the negative acronym of fear of forget everything and run. No, in recovery, we learn to face everything and recover in this 12-step program, particularly as we apply it to COVID-19. And so when we do 4 and 5, we come to the stage where we are entirely ready to have God remove all these defects of character. Anything that stands in the way of you being used by God, stands in the way of you taking seriously this COVID-19, anything that stands in the way for you to not save your life and save the lives of your loved ones, then we want all those character defects that were recognized and revealed in step 4. We got to the exact nature. Now we are presenting ourselves like an onion to this God to do with us as he will. We totally surrender because it only takes 1 second to drop your guard, my guard, and we contract COVID-19 again. So the statement by Charles DeBoer says, to be able at any moment to survive what we are for what we could become. We could become a part of the solution and no longer a part of the problem. I know because I was a part of the problem. All right. So when we get to step 7, this is where we put steps 4 and 5 and 6 together. Right. So step 4, if I have an example of the character defect of lying identified as the character defect. In step 5, the exact nature of lying was identified as fear. Step 6 says we're entirely ready to have God remove the defects. And then in step 7, which we are now, when I lie again or am about to lie, I can ask God to remove that shortcoming of lying. So we see that we can utilize these 12 steps that are spiritual in nature to help us get to the exact nature of those character defects, become entirely ready. And until God such removes them, we have to be satisfied with making progress. And so when I use the example of lying, all of us lie. And if you say you don't lie, you're lying. In one shape, form, or fashion, we are all yet liars. We may not lie as much, and in some degrees, a lie is a lie. So if you are perfect, which you're not, then you are still a liar. In one shape, form, or fashion, you still lie. I'm going to call it as I see it because it's true. It's a human nature. Whether we lie for a positive reason, we lie for a negative reason, we lie for protection, we still lie. And we want to ask our higher power to remove that shortcoming, and so that we can be willing to tell the truth, the whole truth and nothing but the truth, right? And when we find ourselves wanting to lie or lying, we can use recovery principle number 7, humbly ask him to remove our shortcoming. And we also need to go back to 4, 5, and 6 as to why. Let's examine what went wrong. Why am I still hesitant, right? Because until God removes that character defect of lying, we now have awareness. We can no longer forget, right? And so we still have to apply these spiritual principles. Now, with Jason Waller breakdown, we shared yesterday how we're going to break down step 7 regarding COVID-19. But I always believe in giving you the foundation, the preparation of, and why, and the benefits of doing all these steps. Now we're going to share from Jason Waller's perspective his information regarding recovery principle number 7 and how he applies it to alcohol and drugs. Once we do that, tomorrow we will change the area of focus and apply it to COVID-19. So let's see what he says about drinking and drugging as it relates to 7. Step 7 of AA's Alcoholics Anonymous step program of recovery is about getting rid of character defects and replacing them by practicing humility and spiritual principles. Working on the 7th step requires constant thoughtfulness and commitment to being honest, courageous, and humble. When working on steps 4 and 5, we discovered our assets and our shortcomings. With step 6, we became prepared to deal with these qualities so that in step 7, we could be ready to act. Breaking down step 7. So here's the thing. Quitting alcohol and drugs is a big change. I think you know this by now. Moving into step 7 actually involves us in the personal change of actively letting go of our shortcomings, actions, and feelings that are liabilities. This change requires effort and action. Simply asking for our shortcomings to be removed does not automatically make them go away. It is up to you to be aware and make new choices. Many people in recovery find comfort that their higher power can and does remove these character defects, shortcomings when asked. While working on the previous 6 steps, you have been stripping away age-old layers of denial, ego, self-centeredness, and other liabilities that consumed you when you were active in your disease. When we arrive at step 7, we are ready to stop thinking so much about what we are going to get in life and start looking at what and how we can contribute to others in the world. In my experience, Jason Waller, my higher power has never left me empty-handed. Everything I have lost has been replaced with something better. I was asked to put down the drink and the drugs because my higher power wanted me to pick up something greater. This is humility to me. Step 7, the misunderstood virtue. Humility is the solid foundation of all virtues. And that's by Confucius. When it comes to working your 7-step, the quality of humility really breaks down to having a reasonable perspective of yourself. It is quite simply seeing the truth of your life and your place in the world. In AA terms, it is practiced art of being right sized. When you humbly ask your higher power to remove your shortcomings, you are recognizing that you are neither too big or too small. Gone is your self entitlement of grandiosity, as is your shame, regrets, or unworthiness. You have actually already taken your first step towards humility by admitting your powerless and unmanageability. Typically, when practicing step 7, recovering addicts realize that humility is not a state of being in despair or groveling, but a state of peace, serenity, and acceptance of life on life's terms. In the 12 steps and 12 tradition, it states the attainment of greater humility is the foundation principle of each of the AA's 12 steps. The 7th step of AA is an ongoing opportunity for us to embrace and the pursuit of humility as a fundamental aspect of staying sober. He goes on to say, wishing it does not make it so. Step 7 into action. Taking action means work. I know most of us are adverse to the word work, but the kind of work I'm talking about here has nothing to do with punching in a time card and suffering through 8 hours. Our work on the steps of AA program simply means using our energy to be disciplined and committed to in the pursuit of our goal of long-term sobriety and recovery. It takes work to stand up for ourselves, to be patient, or to accept the emotional discomfort of new behaviors. Catching ourselves and our shortcomings and changing our reaction takes work. The more familiar we become, the more familiar you become with your shortcomings, the more you start to notice this feels familiar. I better stop and pay attention to this. Whenever a reaction feels involuntary, it's probably something that needs changing. The great news is that when practicing humility in step 7, you really gain a sense of your own humanity and the ability to have compassion for yourself and for others. We are all in this together and we are all the same. I have to stop there and continue if it's God's will that we are reunited on day 87. But sharing with you my experience, my strength, my hope, my wisdom of the 12 steps, as well as sharing my lack of wisdom, bad choices, and bad decisions, and contributing to contracting COVID-19 and infecting 7 members of my family, right? So utilizing these 12 spiritual principles helped me to take the simple suggestions offered by the CDC and the tangible evidence that we have been seeing, right? Because I did not apply them initially to COVID-19, but because God chose me to survive as well as my other family members, it is my obligation, my honor, and my responsibility to share with you what I didn't do and what I am suggesting that you do if you want to save your life, save the lives of your loved ones, save your culture, your city, your community, your country. And if we do this around the world simultaneously, we can, we will, and we must stop the perpetuation of COVID-19. So I ask you, like I did in the beginning, are you proactive, inactive, reactive, or responsible regarding COVID-19? Or are you in the mode of prevention, intervention, or restoration regarding COVID-19? Only you can answer that question. So join us if God chooses to wake you up and me up, because God uses broken, shattered, and wounded people like me and you to rescue shattered, broken, and wounded people like me and like you. So be safe, be safe, be safe. Wear the mask. Wash your hands. Social distancing, right? Contact tracing. Get tested and get vaccinated. So I'm going to show you me getting vaccinated as I close out. as well as giving contributions again to my sponsors. Here we go.
Here we go, my daughter. Got it.
Okay, I got the shot, as you can see, and to God be the glory. I'm waiting to get my second dose so that I can continue to be of service, be of support, and to be a part of the solution and no longer a part of the problem. I want to again acknowledge my sponsors. They are, and I have some new ones, okay? They are, let me see what, let's do this, okay? They are MDB Associates, Dr. Mary Douglas Bailey, Patchwork Human Services, Ebony Madry, Levante and Dorsey and Associates, Academy of Peace, Dr. J. Macklin, Crafty Crab Seafood, Free to Hope, Women Do Hall Transportation, Mr. C's Barbershop, Morgans of Delaware, Lady T at Morgans of Delaware, Jewelry by Catherine Butler, and Divine Light Recovery Center and Supportive Housing. And let me end with a copy of my book to close out this session and to bid you a good day, a happy day, if we apply the 12 spiritual principles as well as the CDC suggestions. Be safe, and be safe.